So hello, and today we have something special. I got very cheap this very nice Atari video computer system, better known as the 2600. And yeah, I want to take a look inside. Want to see if we need to clean anything up, if it's okay from the inside, and to see whether we can power it on. We got the power supply here, which has a weird plug. Looks like a 3.5mm audio plug, a little bit at least. So we will test this with a multimeter. I suspect we will see something more than 9 volts, probably due to no load on there. But better to check if it's roughly in the same range and if it doesn't blow up by turning on. And we'll take a look inside if there's visually anything going wrong, and then we might try to turn it on. However, I don't have any device with RF input, because that's the only thing that this thing supports. So we will have to find a way to mod this thing to at least output composite video. Yeah, we will have to see about that. There are several tutorials online how to mod different versions of this console. From what I figured out after a quick Google search, this is basically the third version, the first one to have the 2600 label. I can show you. I put away this stuff very quickly. So on the front it says Atari 2600. This particular model was manufactured, let's zoom down a bit, try to focus here, manufactured for Atari in Ireland. And yeah, I'm not sure, this is the serial number, I'm not sure if there's a date code in here somewhere, but it should be early 80s, I guess. Yeah, so we'll open it up, have a look inside. Alright, so let's open up the case itself. Oh, these are truly massive. Let's see if we can carefully lift this up. Is there anything that's still screwed down, I wonder? Or is it just clipped in at the front? Oh no, I don't need to. Look at this. So here we have the PCB. Is it attached in some way? I think not. So this is the RF cord. There's some shield. Let's get the bottom shell out of the way. So this is the top shell, one of these spacers, and a nice board. Here we go. So not much to see here, so I figure if we want to mod, we probably need to do a couple of things. So my guess is that this is the RF modulator. Let's refocus a bit, so I think now the exposure is better. So this here looks like the RF modulator. I think I read that on some mods you will have to remove this completely. Not sure if we have to, but I'll figure that out. This seems to be some trimmer, capacitor or resistor, but it says R213, yeah, that's a resistor, variable resistor. a big fat electrolytic, but it still looks fine. No leakage there. The other capacitors look quite massive, and all the magic is below these things anyway. So there are some tabs here that you will have to twist to remove the RF shielding, and all the magic is down here. So and nothing much else to see here, but looks like it's in very good condition. Okay, I got all the components here. We only need a couple of resistors with the correct values, a certain transistor at 2N3904, and 3 RCA jacks for the output, 2 for the audio, however this is mono so we will just wire it through, and 1 for the video. And that's basically it. And we'll now remove the RF shield here, because there's a couple of components under here that we need to remove. And I will desolder the RF box. And there's like a couple of pads here. These are not even soldered, but these two have to be desoldered. And these 5 pins here as well. And we can either cut them here and solder to the remaining stubs, which is probably maybe the best way to do it. And if that doesn't work out, we can still desolder. So yeah, let's get cracking. Yeah, I got it finally. There's even a little bit of rust there, so some small amount of humidity must have gotten in there. This is the RF modulator, which makes the TV output, but we won't need that anymore, so we can put that aside. Maybe take a look inside later. But so it was a little bit tough because there's a lot of thermal mass on these things on the RF box, because it's completely made from metal. So what helped actually was in the beginning the soldering pump, putting on a bit of new solder and flux, and then actually going in there very carefully with the knife and lifting up while heating the pads, because I couldn't get everything sucked away, and a little bit of solder got stuck here and here, as you can see, and it was very hard to remove. But yeah, in the end we got that. And now we have to remove a few components, so I will link to the instructions that I found and the things that we need to remove are a few things here and the transistor here, but let me check which ones. So up here you see Q201. This is the transistor that we need to remove. And furthermore, we need to remove these two resistors on the side here, the yellow one and the brown or orange one right next to it. And I think for this version we also need to remove this transistor down here, this resistor, not transistor, this resistor. So this one, and this one. These should be R29, R222, and C205. See? Oh, so this is a capacitor here, up here. That might very well be. I will double check in the instructions, because there are so many different variants of the board. But yeah, other than that, let's go and desolder this. Okay, after a long hard fight, I decided to just cut these 4 components because we have to solder some stuff at some of the pads anyway, and it's nice to have the little stubs here. And this old solder is really hard to get off with such a cheap desoldering pump. Yeah, but an electric desoldering pump is way too expensive for the few times that I need this. Although it would be a nice tool, definitely. So yeah, now we can make the little PCB and wire everything up. Okay, the little PCB, well, it's not a PCB, it's just like a little circuit board is done. Here's the little transistor, the 2N3904. This is, let me think, emitter, base, and collector. This is the 2.2 kilo ohms resistor, this is the 3.3 kilo ohms resistor. And the cables, I only had blue, so there's no color coding here. So this is ground in from the header here, and this is, let me think, video in on base, because the video signal will be amplified. And this is plus 5 volt in as well. And this is ground out, so there's a common ground, and video out on the emitter. The audio signal will just be routed through, so I didn't put it on here, but we can wire it straight to the jacks here. Okay, so this can basically be placed here, soldered to the pins, and the pins are, let me check the instructions, leftmost, the one is ground, pin 3 is video, no, VCC, and yellow is video. And audio, where do we get audio? Audio we do get somewhere from here, I have to check that. I think it should be this resistor here, but I have to check that. I'll report back to you. Okay, so the whole deed is done. Let's see what we've got here. So for the last parts I didn't let my camera run because actually what was a bit fiddly, and I had to take the thing off the desk because I had to drill some holes, but I'll walk you through it. So first of all, the PCB is at an angle in the case, because you actually slot in the cartridge at an angle, and this is supposed to look nice and stuff. So this is where it's placed. Down here we have our little circuit board with a composite mod, the little transistor, and I put it out of the way here, didn't isolate it yet, but it shouldn't make any contact with anything else. And yeah, as I said, let's zoom down here a little bit and get this into the shot. Are we focused? Sort of, yeah, kind of. So we removed C209, R209 and R222, and this resistor here, we tapped into that on the bottom side. That's the audio out. And for the RF modulator we used pins 1, 3 and 4. One is, I think... What's one? I forgot actually. However, I do see one loose wire. So maybe we should cut this off a very tiny strand. Here we go. Not that we get like a little bit of interference there or short circuit. But let's take away the PCB for a second and zoom out a little bit. And then you will see up here I drilled some holes and put in some cinch sockets. So these are for the stereo output. Of course it's only mono, so the ground comes in here. This is the ground wire, it comes in here and just goes to the outer terminals of the cinch sockets. And if we zoom in a little bit more, you can hopefully see the audio coming in here directly from the resistor and just jumping over to both center pins. And the composite output, which is, let me see, this wire here, it's coming over here and going to the center of the video output socket. And that's already everything that we need for the composite mod. It's really simple, but the desoldering was a bit tough. And of course you always have to take care, because the machine is 35 years old at the very least, and you might even have a version that's 40 years old or something. So be careful, everything might be a little bit brittle. But we can fire it up now. There's a little bit dirt in here, a little bit dusty, but actually it's in pretty good condition. Nothing worrying. The cartridge slot also seems to be quite okay. I think that's all to be expected. Alright, I will also put the schematics on the screen for the composite output, and I will put links to everything that we talked about so far in the video description. But now let's put the lid on this and try a few games and see if it works. So, one more thing after I put this together. The joystick of the Atari 2600 is notably horrible. So this one here I already refurbished, and I'll make a separate video of that process using some new click dome switches. But yeah, you will see that in another video. So now I have a pretty well functioning and clickety-click joystick, because this was totally worn out, and often the inner parts here also break because they are quite brittle at this age. And yeah, you have to be very careful, and you can 3D print replacement parts, but that's also a bit tricky. But I'll cover that in a future video, as I said. But now off to the games. Well, that's about it. I must say this composite mod was definitely a success. The video quality, of course, is not as good as you would get from a professional system like the OSSC, which does not support composite. But I think it's still very playable, and I'm happy that I can capture all this footage now. And yeah, so we will definitely see this device later again with the joystick repair stuff and maybe a little bit more. But other than that, I thank you for watching. Please do share this stuff on social media, like the video, and please hit the subscribe button, because we are almost 1/4 towards the 1000 viewers. Have a nice evening.